There we go. Looks like Jay and I are ready to play some video games in the background.
Oh, you got rid of my Animal Crossing?
Well, you didn't say you wanted a new one, so is that what you wanted, or you want Minecraft Dungeons now?
Whatever, dude. It's all good.
Okay.
If you got a Minecraft dungeon, you want to throw that in?
I will. What's up, everybody? My name is Indy, and that gentleman right next to me, that's Mr. Jay Powell from Powell Group Consulting. And welcome to Indie Game Business. Today we have our special guest, Marc Mencher. He has GameRecruiter.com, and you've had that for just a couple years, right?
Gosh, I've been doing this for 30 years now.
Right. On LinkedIn, I'm like, holy crap, this is like older than my daughter.
I like finding the people that have been doing this even longer than I have. So that's always a perk. So yeah, Marc, welcome to the show. So we're going to be talking about something that's very pertinent right now with everything going on, and that's how do you find a job in the industry? What do you do? We're going to go over some LinkedIn tips, because like we say on here repeatedly, you need to be on LinkedIn for multiple business reasons. But yeah, if you're looking for a job, it's even more important. So welcome. Tell us a little about, we always like to start with, I would say walk us through your career, but you've been doing this same thing for 30 years. So that part's going to be really short. How did you get into games? And then, yeah, sure.
Well, I graduated with a computer science degree back in the Stone Age. And I was actually working at a robotics company, working on an AI project, artificial intelligence, with Carnegie Mellon and Pratt Whitney, the Air Force. And I was at Carnegie Mellon and at the Robotics Institute, and at 10 o'clock at night, the guys would take over the entire campus computer system and start playing asteroids. Well, it wasn't asteroids then. It was a network computer on $100,000 computers. Apollo, oh God, now that I tell you what, Apollo workstation, you're all going to know how old I am. An Apollo workstation. I mean, it was amazing. When I saw that game and what was going on in that room, I quit my job. I moved to California. I walked into a game company. I had a 4-year degree, a computer science degree. No one at the game company had a computer science degree. 30 years ago, you were a freak. You were a geek if you were working in the game industry. You were a reject programmer if you were in the game industry. You couldn't get a real job. That was a reputation 30 years ago. Things have obviously changed quite a bit. So that's how I got in the industry, put 5 games on the market. Then when I got promoted and I had to start to hire my own teams, I went to the recruiters out there in the industry, but unfortunately, they don't know the pipeline. They've never been through the process of making software themselves. So basically, they're left to guess what it is I want to hire. And they would throw 30, 40 resumes at me every day. And so if you had 5 firms, 40 resumes times 5 firms, come on, dude, I had a real job, which was programming and running my team, not reading resumes. So that didn't work for me. So I fired the recruiters. I taught myself to recruit. And it's been 20-something years now, and because clearly there's a need in the industry for someone who actually understands the jobs they're filling.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
So that's me in a nutshell. So that's about that. So, of course, today we're talking about job hunting. What's the great news is that there are 1 million more jobs open than there are people for the jobs in our industry. I understand other industries may be struggling, but our industry, the specialty talent that we hire in our industry is in high demand, even producers, even artists. It is absolutely crazy. It's been going like this for 2 years. And while COVID gave us maybe a month of disruption, hiring is gangbusters. It's all being done on video interviews. People are getting to obviously work from home and not have to relocate, so things are changing. But these are all positive things as far as I'm concerned. There is no reason for anyone who has specialty training in the game industry to be unemployed for more than 5 minutes. It means you don't know how to job hunt and you're not doing it appropriately, and that's what we're going to try to tackle today.
That is crazy. I know that we're doing, as an industry, we're doing way better than a lot of other folks. But
we're very fortunate, because what is it, 40 million people out of jobs? So we are lucky in the game industry. We really are. We should all count our blessings.
So let's start with LinkedIn. And you mentioned when we talked the other day, you were talking about tips for, sprucing up your LinkedIn page. Walk us through that. So what has to be there? Is there special ways that it should be ordered and formatted? How do we make a LinkedIn page that pops?
Okay, great. What people need to realize is that LinkedIn is not a resume. LinkedIn is a two-eye blink experience. People are not sitting on LinkedIn reading it. This is not what LinkedIn's all about. It's not why it was developed. It's a quick snapshot. It's a business card. You need to figure out how to incorporate, encapsulate your value-added proposition. What do you offer a company? Why should someone hire you? That should be the immediate thing that is shoved in someone's face. No reading. A lot, you really are trying to minimize the reading. So you do it by bulletizing, by what you say in your LinkedIn profile. So if you jump to my LinkedIn profile, Marc Mencher, you're going to see immediately with one eye blink, I'm a game recruiter and what industries I focus in on. That's what you need to know about me. That's the main thing. See what I'm saying? So with programmers, game designers, producers, artists, you've got to immediately focus in on to someone. What do you do? What is your specialty? What do you know? Unreal, Unity, C++. Are you network? Are you server? Are you an artist? Are you skinning? Are you what? Tell me what you do and use English. Sometimes I get onto a LinkedIn profile and the person has 4 jobs, creative director, and says nothing else. Well, a creative director to me means something totally different than it means to you. So if you think your LinkedIn profile is being effective for you by saying that, you're nuts. You know what I mean? It doesn't say a thing. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of odd. So the internet is your new resume. People need to get that. Your LinkedIn profile needs to match up with your Facebook profile, needs to match up with your resume itself. The words and what you do, you can always customize. We're not talking about not customizing. What we're talking about, if you worked at Sony from the year 2000 to the year 2005, that resume should be consistent no matter how it's customized, that you were there from 2000 to 2005. You see, you know what I'm saying? You can customize inside the job so that the audience reading it gets it, but the overall career needs to be the same no matter where you find it. So that's about that. So so the first thing I would recommend people do is look at the photo on your LinkedIn profile. The photo has got to be engaging. It's got to be friendly. You got to have a smile on your face. I don't want to see your dog. I don't want to see your spouse. We don't want to see some background or some drawing. People want to see you and a friendly face. So go through the millions of photos you've got. Find the one that makes you look approachable, inviting, happy. If you look like a miserable person, do you think I want to click on your profile? Do you think I even want to talk to you on the telephone? So you wanna look inviting. You know what I'm saying? Come on, have a smile on your face, for God's sake. Number 2, the headline. Don't use the default headline from LinkedIn. Create a headline that sells you. Software engine, game industry programmer, specializing in rendering or server. Get it? Now I get you in a second. Animator, specializing in 2D or 3D, or what? Rotoscoping. Tell me something.
Yeah, I see a lot of headlines on LinkedIn that are just like, I da 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 da, and it doesn't okay, well, what do you do exactly? That's what you want.
And what engines did you touch? I'll read a profile and there's not a mention of an engine, and I'm going, what industry do you work for? Come on now. Even if you're a vice president, if you've made products for the Unreal Engine 4 or for Unity or for a customized engine, tell the audience we're the video game industry. We want to know these things. So, I customized the headline in LinkedIn so that it actually sells you and focuses the person on what are you? What are you selling? Your job titles. You've got to choose job titles that make sense to all of us. I understand some companies, you can't compare EA, a senior engineer, to Rinky Dink Inc. and their senior engineer. It is a different corporate structure. You know what I mean? So, you got to be clear about what it is you are. If you were a manager, but they called you a code monkey, use the word manager because the rest of the world understands that. So it's okay to use a title that you don't exactly officially have at the company, but a title that communicates to the world what you are. So sometimes they call you a product manager and you're really a producer. Well, if you're really a producer, put down the word producer so we all get it and the story's consistent. And I call you about producer jobs, not about marketing jobs. You know what I'm saying? So look at the summary section of your profile. What is your competitive advantage? And that should be right in that summary section. Don't make me read. Give me bullets. Tell me key skills, give me qualifications, use game industry terminology. What about game industry jargon? I can't tell you how many times I'll look at a profile and the person says they're in the game industry, but I don't see one word, one buzzword, nothing that's important about that. They're a producer, but they don't say free to play. I mean, okay, really? It's just we're not revealing enough data to sell you. This is all about what sells you, what's going to get someone to want to have a conversation with you, to engage you. That's what LinkedIn is about, is to spark interest, just like your resume is about sparking interest, and the rest of the interview process is about getting into the details. So try to tell the most succinct story as possible in your work experience and make it as relevant to your skills as possible. So we don't need 5 paragraphs. Just give us exactly what you did. I worked on engines. I did the voiceovers, specifically so we get it. So again, when someone is quickly looking at the profile, they walk away with exactly what it is you do, not an interpretation, not a misperception. Yeah, these things are not what you want people to do.
So you think that bullet points are better than paragraphs, right?
Absolutely. We don't read in 2020. Why would you make people read? The resume is the same way. The resume needs to be bulletized out. You know what I mean? It's just got to be easily digestible. Lots of words are never going to do anyone any good. What is your code going to look like if you can't speak succinctly and communicate succinctly? What is your marketing material going to look like? So what are your game design documents going to look like if you cannot present yourself properly on LinkedIn, Facebook, and in your digital resume? So, that's kind of important.
So and this is a question that I see a lot. I mean, you have a point. EA calls people something different than an indie dev. So when you're coming from an indie dev and you basically had to wear multiple hats, you got multiple roles. How do you articulate that? If I put that I'm a producer, but somebody's looking for a product manager, but I was also the product manager because we had an 8-person team. How do you put that out there, and how do you clarify that?
Right, and that's the trick in figuring out how to present yourself succinctly. Someone in that situation, I might as their job title be producer/product manager, so that someone gets it. You know what I mean? But, or you say producer if that's the main job you're looking for. Again, that's how you customize a resume. If you're answering jobs that are producer jobs or going after that, then there you go. Of course, I'm not a proponent of answering job ads, but we'll get to that topic sometime. I'm all about doing the job hunt, not being passive about it, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, and so that actually came from the Discord server earlier today. Somebody, because we've got our career day event coming up next week, and you only, as a job seeker, you can only upload one resume or CV or whatever you call it wherever you are in the world. And they were asking, it's like, so I've done Unity programming, but I've also had to do the art and the music, and so do I do multiple resumes, or do I add those as skills, or that sort of stuff? Because you don't I mean, especially right now, if people are looking for jobs, if the job is for art and you can do art and you have done art, that's what, you don't want to miss out on something like that.
Exactly. Well, you put things in the resume that indicate that, but you've got to give a focus to folks. You've got to know that you're really a producer at heart, or really a marketing person at heart, or really a programmer at heart, so that your job hunt is focused and you're focused. Otherwise, it turns into an uncontrollable mess. So that doesn't mean you can't have a job search going, two different job searches going, one for producer, one for product manager, all at the same time. But, you got to be focused when you approach someone, or else you're going to just lose their brain. So people are bombarded with data all the time. You've got to have a consistent story. So, and that's the challenge in a resume, in a online presentation, is how do I succinctly communicate my value proposition? And that's what we all struggle with when we try to do that. And I try to give a lot of examples of that in the document I wrote about putting together LinkedIn profiles, and of course about putting together a digital resume. I always try to show examples of how to do that. For example, a producer. What does every hiring manager want to know about a producer? What team size, budgets, genre, platform, agile. I mean, that's basically the 5-6 things that everyone wants in a producer. So that better be right in my face if you're a producer looking for a producer job. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So.
All right, so real quick, I'm gonna, Andy, I actually got a response from Restream, and they said LinkedIn is not working because LinkedIn doesn't accept transmissions above 30 frames per second, and we're streaming at 60 frames per second. I don't know where that changes, but if you can find that and change it, it would probably solve our problem.
You could downgrade us to the 1800 framework.
Yeah, no, really. So, how do we go and we find the jobs that we're looking for, especially right now? I mean, how much change are you seeing between, companies that want folks on site versus companies that are open to remote jobs now?
Well, what's interesting is we've seen a big flip, of course, because of COVID. But my expectation is that work from home, stay at home situation is going to now continue because we got forced into it. But my clients are telling me, almost every client has told me they are ahead on their development schedule, that their teams are way more productive than they ever were coming into the office. Now, there's an exception to the rule. I mean, if you have 5 children screaming at you when you're at home and you have no quiet space, okay. But most of my clients are telling me they're ahead on their dev schedules, and that's never been the case in their existence. So this is interesting that productivity is going through the roof. So I wonder how important centralized offices will be in the future. So right now we're seeing a big work from home until it is safe to relocate. And so that might be for the next 6 months to the next year. So all the jobs I'm extending to people right now are work from home jobs with the future conversation of relocating. And some of the jobs I have now are you're never going to be asked to relocate. So there's been a big switch, obviously.
And so, yeah, that was my next question. It's like, how do you?
But wait. Do you want me to reset it to 30? I have to stop the stream for just like 10 seconds or 30 seconds and then restart it.
Yeah, do it.
Okay,
we'll be right back.
We will be right back. Don't go away.
Right,
this is super interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back up in just a second. All right, I think we're good. All right, let's go on to the next question.
Next question. Where are we? So,
thanks to our sponsors. So, all right, the question was, if you're looking for a job right now, and all right, let's say you're in Florida, but there's a company in the UK that's hiring, and of course, everything is remote right now. Is there any trepidation or concern that you take that job that's remote and then they turn around in 6 months and go, oh yeah, well, we actually want you to move here?
Well, I guess that could happen. All right, then you got 6 months more year of experience in the industry, and you start a job hunt again with 1 million more open jobs than there are people for the jobs. Really? Are we concerned about being unemployed for more than 5 minutes if you really have skills? So what's the risk? So all right,
And that's what you mentioned earlier. I don't even know if we were live yet or not, but you were talking about a million different jobs. So I would have never, I mean, I know we're doing well, but I would have never guessed we had that many. So how do people find those jobs?
Well, of course, they're posted all over the place on websites, but I don't like that. I don't like answering job ads. To me, that is like playing the lottery. Sure, a few people win. Most people do not. So most people are not 100% matched to the job order. So that's really not the way to job hunt as far as I'm concerned. I am not familiar with LinkedIn's automated job hunt service, nor would I turn it on. Personally, I'm not going to trust a computer to do my job hunts. And, of course, to not let my current employer know. Give me a break. So I'm going to do this my way, and I'm going to use my brain, and I'm going to realize that LinkedIn is a search engine. Wow. So if we realize that LinkedIn is a search engine, let's use it that way. So the first thing I would do is LinkedIn allows you to join 50 groups. So people don't realize the power of groups on LinkedIn. So what you want to do is you want to sit down with a glass of wine or some beer out in front of LinkedIn and join a good 40 groups, because you want to leave 10 groups open just for the future. You never know. But you want to join game industry groups, the largest groups you can find, so that you are growing sensibly and logically your second-degree network on LinkedIn. So that means, don't forget, the International Game Developers Association. Join that group. Join Game Developer Conference. Join DICE. So just joining those few groups right there will increase your second-degree network by 100,000 people. So you can imagine if you join 40 groups, you'll be able to increase your network by quite a bit. And, of course, if you're an artist, you want to join artist groups. If you're a programmer, you want to join programmer groups. You want to be in areas where you think people who are hiring you would be. So this way, if you're not directly connected, a first connection to the senior vice president over at Ubisoft, but if you are sharing a group with that person in one of those 40 groups, when you ask LinkedIn who's the senior vice president of Ubisoft, that information comes up to you because they're a second-degree network. So now you have a first-degree network that you've built and a logical second-degree network that you've built. And that'll give you access to form the basis of your job hunt and figure out who to approach at EA, at Ubisoft, at Rinky Dink Inc., wherever you're job hunting. So, it just opens up the world. The second thing is, now that you're connected to these folks, is approach them. All right. When I job hunt, I make a list of my top 10, my top 20 companies that I want to work for. I don't care if you've got a job ad or not. Do you know how annoying it is for a hiring manager to fill out a job rec, go to human resources, get it approved, have it advertised? Yeah. Well, a lot of times 80% of the time, the manager doesn't get to do that. And 80% of the time, really only 10% of the available jobs are advertised. So I'm suggesting you job hunt in the 80% pool, not in the 10% pool. The other 10% is recruiters and stuff like that. So so open up the 80% pool and go after the jobs that every person is not responding to because it was an EA job posting. Lazy job hunters get lazy results. You know what I mean? So EA puts the game designer job ad out on 5 websites. Guess what? They're getting 5,000 resumes a day. You want to be part of that bullshit? That's ridiculous. That's not job hunting. That's playing the lottery. No. Figure out who is on the Bond team, who is the senior game designer on the EA Bond team, and approach the game designer. My gosh, you want to be on that team? Hello, and that's how you get jobs. So I'm a little bit more aggressive in job hunting than being passive, as you can imagine, and that's what I teach and advocate to folks.
So the LinkedIn groups thing is interesting because I thought that had pretty much died. We stopped. On the business side, we stopped seeing decent results to that from that. About a year ago, it was like no one goes to them anymore. So there are, it is worthwhile when people post in there. People are actually reading them.
That's an interesting comment. I don't read what's being posted in those groups. I'm simply a member of those groups So I have access to the members for recruiting, and what are you guys doing? You're job hunting, and you want access to, if you're an artist, you should be approaching art directors at any company that you want to work for. Hello, if you're a programmer, it should be the tech director, it should be the vice president of engineering. Human resources is all about blocking you and keeping you away from the company. That's why when I job hunt, human resources gets my resume when I'm doing the interview. Oh, hi, HR. I set up an interview for Wednesday at 1 o'clock with Tom Jones. Here's my resume. Just wanted you to know what was happening. That's when I contact HR. I mean, come on now.
Makes sense. I mean, and that's the reason, I'm in a lot of these groups too on LinkedIn, and that's the reason I'm in there too. It's not that I go and read them that often, but it is more of, expanding that network.
Expanding the network. That's the whole reason for the groups, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, some people might find value in those groups. Certainly, I post things in my groups to help people job hunt. So I'm sure there are resources there, jobs being advertised, things like that. But really, my main purpose is to just have my network be as effective for me as possible, no matter how I'm utilizing LinkedIn.
So you've got a LinkedIn group?
Yeah, I have Game Recruiter, and we also have jobs in the game industry. So those are two groups that you can join. Jobs in the game industry gets a lot more traction, and a much larger group. So
spruce up your LinkedIn page. Don't necessarily go to HR, go to the heads of groups or divisions or whatever that you're interested in. The one that I learned this week is to just simply do a search on LinkedIn for "we're hiring" or "I'm hiring," because
correct,
that pops up, a whole lot of people who have it in their title or their whatever it is.
Exactly. Very close.
And the thing that I've seen from that is it's not a lot of HR people that have that. It's like you said, it's the head of engineering or lead producer or
right. It's actually the hiring manager, the hiring manager themselves, or someone on staff. Because if they walk your resume into HR, it's going to get attention. You know what I mean? As opposed to you just sending it in the system. And the other thing is that people, you got to be really careful about that resume presentation and how the resume is put together. What people are just not getting is that it's the year 2020, and two things are happening. One, we don't read in this generation. It's a picture, it's 2 words. So why would you create a resume that requires reading? That's number one. Number two is that humans are not reading the resume anymore. Computers are reading them. You send your resume into a company. That resume is parsed or scanned or read, whatever word you want to use, by the computer. It makes an HR file for you in the HR system, and it's the HR file that gets sent around the company, not your resume. So what people need to realize is you need to construct your resume so that it creates a perfect HR file. Not so it looks pretty. Well, first of all, PDF resumes are kind of death, especially if you have saved your PDF file off of a PC. Apple was a little smart. They knew that people were dumb and wouldn't know how to use PDF. So you could, when you save a PDF on an Apple product and an Apple computer of any sort, it's going to save it properly. It's going to save it as a text file. Unfortunately, most PCs default to saving it as an image, and that's where we get problems because images are very hostile. So when you're making a resume, it's the most simple format. So that a computer is not tricked, no fancy columns, no fancy artwork mixed in with your name. Don't have your name as part of an image or art, because then what happens is the HR file gets created without your name. So then the company doesn't even know you approached them, and you're wondering why you can't get a job in the industry and why no one sends you a reject letter. It's because your resume is not working. You know what I mean? The resume doesn't work. So I can't tell you how many people approach me with a resume that's so hostile that my computer system can't read it. And they look at me like, oh. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, it's 2020. Figure it out. You know what I mean? So, so the resume has got to be really basic, None of this fancy stuff. None of Microsoft Word's pre-made stuff. A very basically laid out resume that uses game industry buzzwords and jargon. And yes, I do get a lot of flack from people. Mark, why do I repeat Unreal Engine 4 or 5 times in my resume? Well, guess what? We're playing a game. The resume has got to have buzzwords. The resume has got to fill your HR file correctly. So guess what? If you mention Unreal Engine 4 only once, then the computer gives you 1 point. If you mention Unreal Engine 4 5 times, you get 5 points, and the computer says to the people on the other side in EA or Ubisoft or whatever, oh, this person's an expert because they've got 5 hits for Unreal Engine 4 in their resume. See what I'm saying? You want to always come across as the expert. So that is the reason to logically repeat information in the resume, especially important buzzwords for our industry, so that your HR file is always coming up every time they go to look for a programmer or they go to look for a level designer. You come up because you've designed your resume so that you're always in their face. Just like you're designing your LinkedIn profile, so you're always in their face. And by the way, oftentimes they find you on LinkedIn. They download the LinkedIn PDF. I know I said watch PDFs, but most databases are able to suck up a LinkedIn PDF. They take the LinkedIn PDF and they create the basic HR file, and then they try to reach out to you. So again, it's really important at LinkedIn that you set up that LinkedIn profile properly and that you test it yourself and make sure when you download your information off of LinkedIn and bring it into a computer system that it parses it perfectly. So we got to be concerned about these things, and we got to realize what a computer is doing when it reads our resume.
So what about, we constantly hear, or I constantly hear, it's like, we're in a creative industry. If you send a paper resume, no one's going to give a shit. It needs to be, show off your talent, your creative talent skills. So that's all bullshit then.
Well, that's what your demo is for, your online demo. Go crazy, have fun. A human being is going to go to the online demo and look at it. They definitely want to see your creativity. The resume that you send it to a company that is filling in your HR file, there is no need for art. There's no need to show your creativity. You need to fill in the HR file so that people are looking at your demo. So it's all on the demo.
I got to ask, is Jay's voice super deep to you, or is that just me?
Well, his voice has always been super deep.
I know, but it's coming across to me like super deep. It's trippy. It's like you have a voice changer.
I hit puberty last night, Andy. It changes.
Wow, it's okay. Well, you'll hear it when I do the cast. You'll be like, "What happened to my voice?"
I never listen to me because I can't stand listening to me talk. That's it's just weird. This is part of the reason I don't do a whole lot of streaming. I go back and listen. I'm like, oh my God, I actually sound like that.
Right, I know. We all criticize ourselves. I know it's in video and in audio, so just got to accept yourself. You know what I'm saying? We are what we are, dude.
I think running your own company for 10 years, you begin to accept yourself a lot more. I mean, it's one of those things that I know I would be a horrible hire at this point. It's just I'm too used to the autonomy of it that I can't imagine going back and like looking for a job somewhere now. But at the same time, we see so much turnover in this industry. It's almost like you constantly have to be job searching, even if you're not job searching.
Right, and that's why I tell people that networking is a 24/7 for your entire career job. If you're not networking, you're job hunting. If you're not job hunting, you're networking. So this activity never stops. So I encourage everyone to get a simple database, Act, whatever you can use, or free databases you can use online. Even Outlook has a simple database system of some sort, so you can have people's names, their contact information. You can organize them by friends or hiring managers or whatever kind of organizational buckets you can put them in, so that you can Access these people when you're job hunting. Access these people when you need to figure out how, all right, I got to learn game lift now so I can code the server. I don't know anything about game lift. Let me connect with someone who does. And they're in your network. If you can organize your network, you'll be able to get to someone who knows game lift. So you see what I mean? So having a little database and organizing your networking/job hunting for the rest of your life is a good investment. And by the way, the new average numbers are most people are going to have 18 jobs in their career.
Holy shit.
So you're going to job hunt 18 times. So don't you think it's worth A, learning how to job hunt, B, having a database to keep yourself organized if this is what you're going to do 18 times? So, yeah.
So we preach constantly that you need to have a CRM for doing business, to especially if you're a developer looking for a publisher for the very same reasons. You're going out there and pitching the game and tracking all this stuff. So are you saying we basically need the same thing?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been using a CRM since the dawn of time. Thank God. It's my brain. It tells me who to call, when to call, what to do. Is it this person a hiring manager? Is this person a candidate? Every conversation I've had for the last 30 years is, in the database. So I know what we've done, what we've talked about, what companies we've approached. I got to stay organized. You got to stay organized.
Oh, yeah. Sure. I live by mine as well. It's like, nothing happens in my day that doesn't go through my CRM. And I can always tell towards the end of the week if it feels chaotic that I got derailed at some point and I need to go back and check to make sure everything got done this week. So what CRM do you use?
I use Bullhorn, but Bullhorn's kind of designed for HR, recruiting, candidates stuff. There are other CRM systems that are a little bit more designed to be used internally at a company, to have a job order and to track the candidates against the job order and to talk to the hiring managers internally, so it just depends on what you need the database for. But I always say keep it simple. Just make sure you can, you know how to use it and live in it and can, connect with people and keep track of what you're doing with them,
So, all right, so we use, for those of you out there listening, we use Nutshell internally. There's a lot of them out there. If you just Google small business CRM, you can find ones that are free for one seat or a finite number of contacts or things like that. But there's Sugar CRM, there's Zoho, which is actually laid out very similar to Salesforce. Don't get Salesforce. I will say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's overkill. If you have something like Salesforce, great. If it's free, great. But it's just kind of overkill to organize yourself for networking or job hunting. But
or for even looking for a publisher.
Right, right.
Unless you are a organization with hundreds of thousands of people, you don't need Salesforce.
Right.
You can also do
a product too, but.
You can also do what I do is use Google Docs. I have a Google form that I fill out, and it just puts information right into a spreadsheet. I mean,
Andy,
it's free and it's right there.
Yeah.
How does your Google form remind you to follow up with somebody?
It does not remind me to follow up with anybody.
But
I'm just saying that's like the most basic of keeping a database.
Yeah,
you know what I
mean?
mean?
The most basic is absolutely a spreadsheet, and Andy's right.
Alexa reminds me to get in touch with people.
Your what?
Alexa. I just tell Alexa to tell me.
So, great. So you've given Amazon control of everything at this point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there, bottom line. And yes, you can use a spreadsheet to organize this stuff, but that part that you're missing is, tracking the history of your conversations and when you talked to them last and, reminding yourself to follow up with people and all of that sort of stuff.
If you really know how to use the system, it basically tells you what to do all day long. Of course, all day long you're putting in the information for the future. So, it's a full-time assistant if you're actually using it correctly. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely. Yeah. So if you're out there, you're listening, you have a question about how to find a job, what you need to do to find a job, where to find a job, how to get a hold of Mark so he can help you find a job, pop it in chat. Restream has updated, so even if you post it on LinkedIn, which now has video, you don't even know. this has been months. And I was talking, while we've been live, I've been talking to the guy over at Restream, and I'm like, we have been trying to fix this for months. And he goes, don't feel bad. They only told us a couple of weeks ago what the problem was.
Give us our money back.
So yeah, anyway, we have video again on LinkedIn now. Pop a note in chat, ask a question. We'll bounce it over to Mark here and get your questions answered. So we've got a good idea now on how we set up that LinkedIn page. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of disappointing that it has to be boring, but that's the state of it. That's because you're right, everything's getting scanned into some HR system somewhere anyway. So whatever. But put that link to your portfolio. That's where you can blow up the creative world. Yeah. So here are the issues, and it's been 10. I'll qualify this. This has been 10 years since I looked for a job, and the thing is, I looked for jobs outside of the industry, and I would go to exactly one interview, and they would tell me about the job, and in the back of my head, I'm sitting there going, "Oh my God, this is going to be miserable. I'm going to absolutely hate this. I'm just going to go back to games." There were two things that always just completely beat me down mentally. One is you never get feedback. Why wasn't I accepted for this job? And I get it. If you get called out at the very first pass through, through the resume sorter, that's one thing. But when you interview with a company and interview with a company multiple times, and then they fly you out to their headquarters to interview you for an entire day, and then you get nothing. What is there anything you can do? How do you? It seems so frustrating.
Well, you got to realize that there's a legality issue that companies are afraid of. So if they tell you they rejected you because you have a green eye and a blue eye and they don't like that, that leaves them open to a lawsuit, whatever, so people try to give you no information or minimal information. So, the agreement I have with my clients is I need to know everything. And my clients tell me everything. Now, I don't necessarily tell the candidate everything. I'm definitely what I'm telling the candidate is what they need to know. So if you've got a nervous,
because you're a moron.
Right. If you got a nervous twitch, and you need to know about that, I am coaching you right there. If there's something that I can help the candidate with to change, I'm right there. But otherwise, I'm trying to protect my clients, and the clients are trying to protect themselves as well. So getting authentic information is definitely challenging. But what you could do is make a personal connection. Call the engineering manager, call the art director, call or a lead artist on the team, or email them. Hey, it's cool. You guys passed on me, no big deal. But is there anything I can learn from this? Is there anything we can share? And most likely people are going to want to do that verbally, not in written form in an email. So realize that that's what's going on. So put on your pants, pick up the phone, call people. Hey, I interviewed. Do you mind spending just a few minutes with me on the phone telling me what was right, what was wrong, what could I change? And there are people out there who will absolutely give you that feedback so that you can incorporate that and know what happened. But really, part of it's a legality issue, why people are shy to give you feedback.
So, Jay from YouTube, so what's the best advice you can give to students about improving their portfolio?
With the portfolio, you want to clearly delineate what it is you did in the group project. Because that's the problem. The art director gets a group project. Well, what did you do in the group project? Did you skin? Did you do the rigging? I mean, and we don't understand what's been done, but yet 20 people are taking credit for the same image. So the same thing happens with programming or whatever. All right, you can show me the entire image, but then also show the person looking at it what you specifically did so that we can evaluate that. So that's the first thing that really does help out students, especially when they're showing a group project. Again, what is your value proposition? What can you do for me, baby?
I've also got a little tip too, because I'm a 3D animator. I graduated from Animation Mentor, which is like a prestigious animation school. And one of the things that they teach you for your demo reel, it's not necessarily about your portfolio, but it's your demo reel, is that you want to put your very first best work at the very beginning, because you want them to go,
absolutely.
You want them, because when you're an animator specifically, or any other job that's like that, those recruiters, they look through 100 demo reels, right, every freaking day. So you want them to bam, the very first thing to be like, wow, that's amazing, and then
so is the art director when you think about it. Okay, so you answer the job ad if that's the way you're going to job hunt, and then the HR shows the art manager 50 or 100 candidates that seem to fit the criteria, but of course HR can't evaluate the art skill. So then that's that poor art director who's got to get on all 100 demos. So you better believe it, that the first thing that people see on your demo better pull them in, or you've lost the audience.
Yeah,
and then read it. Don't make me read. Pull me in. Show me your best image. Show me your best rig. Show me your best lighting. Pull me in.
Then you want, at the very last one, you want to have a short demo reel too. You don't want to have like 2 minute long. You want to have like a 30-second or whatever reel. But your very last one, you want them to, because you want your first one to go wow, and then you want your very last one to wow them too. So you want your very second best at the very, very end, because you want them to like leave this is awesome, and then they watch it and go, oh shit, I'm going to remember this. And because one thing they said is you're only as good as your worst shot. So if you put a crappy shot in there, that's what they're going to remember. Only put your very, 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 very best stuff. Best one at the beginning, second best one at the end, but all great stuff in between. Don't put any stuff that you're like, I'll just throw it in there to fill time, because they would rather see a really short demo reel that has top quality stuff than a longer demo reel that has stuff that's kind of meh.
Short and sweet, again, value proposition, quick, in and out. People are not spending hours on your website. They're on and off your demo site, your LinkedIn site, whatever, for a minute. So you've got to think about, okay, I'm a hiring manager. I've just visited my own website. What do I need to see immediately? What will sell me? You got to put yourself in the mind of the purchaser, the person who's buying you, and make that presentation, appropriately for that person.
Cover letters.
Yeah.
He says,
waste of time, and so are what is that? What you want, what you're looking for. What is that? The resume from 1960.
What I'm looking for is a job. That's what I'm looking for. Okay?
You know what I mean? So cover letters. I don't know, unless there's something specific about the job and whatever. Really, I just need the facts. Unreal. What's your specialty? What do you do? What platforms? Can you fill the job? I need these 5 things. That's what the job ad says. I need these 5 things. You know what I mean? Do you have the 5 things? That's
I kind of feel like nobody reads the cover letters, because what are cover letters like? I've been a huge fan of your company since blah 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 blah, and I really like this. I don't know.
Again, the CRM system is probably going to scan that cover letter and pull out some buzzwords and possibly add that to your HR file. But really, come on, it's all in the resume. Obviously, you want a job in the industry. What do we need a cover letter for? I don't know.
So if you're applying somewhere that says you have to submit one for whatever stupid reason,
because some people think
they all agree.
Yeah.
Basically, SEO them to hell. Is that it?
Just type Unity, Unity, Unreal 4 over and over and over in the fucking cover letter.
What I mean? Obviously, you don't want to, make it so someone's done looking at it and go, wow, what a moron. You know what I mean? But be intelligent about it. But if Unreal Engine 4 is really going to sell you, and by the way, that is the skill in the video game industry today. Wow.
Yeah. Can you share that little statistic?
Game designers, blueprint. I mean, my Lord, it is the most sought out skill. If that's not screaming in someone's face that you bring that skill, you're crazy.
Yeah, Will. I just wanted to do a shout out to my buddy Will, watching from
What were you saying
LinkedIn.
about,
How's it going, dude?
Unreal Engine 4, Jay?
All right, so damn it, I lost my train of thought.
I know earlier I was telling you how expensive the talent is in that that segment.
Yeah, can you shared a number with us before we went live? Can you share that number on what Unreal programmers are getting right now?
Oh my God, it's crazy. Most Unreal Engine 4 programmers with about 2 years of experience, $150K base. It's insane. It's insane.
And that's even remote.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely remote. Yeah. You know what I mean? I just got a programmer hired for $235,000 base salary.
Holy effing wow.
Plus bonus, plus sign-on, plus relocation. Are you kidding me? I know. It's a little sickening that the salary, I mean, on one end, how awesome that our salaries are finally up to what business software, I mean, for years, the game industry always underpaid, and we always worked crazy hours, for no money. So it's about time that our salaries leveled out. But I got to tell you, the specialty talent, especially programmers with Unreal Engine 4, let alone be a network programmer with Unreal Engine 4, AWS, and maybe GameLift, oh my God, you're gold in the industry.
I don't even know what GameLift is.
It's Amazon server, their online server. So for games, multiplayer games. So yeah, so it's pretty interesting. The industry's going gangbusters for sure.
Wow,
that is nuts. So here's the other one, and we're basically going to pick on my pet peeves from 10 years ago. Ageism in the industry.
Back when I was your age, we wrote machine language.
but no, that doesn't. But no. So I understand us old folks like you and me are starting to feel, and I get candidates that come to me, Mark, I'm 60 years old, whatever. I'm telling you, there's a million more jobs open than there are people for the jobs. Companies are interviewing 60-year-olds, 65-year-olds, 70-year-olds. It is amazing. It is happening. If you've got the industry cred, you've got the background, you will be hired. Are there challenges with a 60-year-old interviewing with millennials and getting past that process? Absolutely.
Hey, but if you're 60 years old, if you're 60 years old and you got a TikTok account, you're in like Flynn, right?
Yeah, but if you're over 50, the jobs are not going away because you're over 50. That's 1970s, 1980 thinking, and that's just an excuse. You're not job hunting correctly, is what's going on. Get out there and figure out how to job hunt correctly.
So, is it a situation where it's less ageism and more that you're overqualified? Because I see that a lot with other folks, and I get it if you're hiring for an entry-level BD position or an entry programmer or whatever, but you have been doing this for 10 years, 20, 15, 5, however many, and you're not finding these jobs. Do the HR teams look at somebody and go, they're way overqualified for this? I mean, it's like, obviously you wouldn't be applying to the job if you didn't want it.
Right, but there is still some of that thinking going on. It's really why I try to avoid human resources. Let's be honest. Most game companies do not invest in their HR department. They do not hire people who are formally trained in human resources with bachelor's or master's degrees. Other industries do. Why the game industry doesn't particularly care about HR, I don't really get, because you're only as good as the people that you can attract, hire, and keep. You're not going to make AAA games if you don't have AAA talent, just the way it is. But companies don't particularly think that way, especially if you're going to be in and out of a business in 5 minutes, or you're just about forming a company so you can sell it, which is what a lot of companies do. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's just, where are we going off? I got off on a rant.
No, it's perfectly fine. That's what we do on this show. We go off on side rants.
Yeah, so I don't want to trust HR people who don't play the game at their own company. They barely know how to use their computer. I'm going to trust them to make the decision that I'm qualified, not qualified, whatever. When I'm telling you, half the time I submit a programmer, I have to call up the HR person. Thank God I have a programming background, and I can explain to them in English that, yes, this person did not use the buzzword networking. Sorry, but they are a network engineer. Do you know how many times I have to call them and explain to them that, yes, this person's qualified? I mean, really, I feel like I'm talking to, it's bizarre. You know what I mean? But they don't understand the jobs themselves. They don't even play their own company's games. I really don't get it, but okay. So you really just got to be approachable, approach people, succinctly communicate who you are, and make sure you communicate it to people who don't understand the industry, what you do. So that's a problem in the resume, too. You got to dummy it down, and you got to make it so that the VP of engineering gets it, and that the person in HR who doesn't even know what barely knows how their computer works, gets it, too.
We got a comment. We had a comment from Hitachi Wasabi. Mixer, we have a bigger problem with very unqualified candidates applying than we do overqualified candidates.
Correct. There's just a lot of people who want in the game industry. It's a sexy industry. It always has been. There's just a ton of people who want in. So, of course, there's 1,000 resumes per job ad on the internet. He is getting 5,000. If 20 of those 5,000 a day resumes are qualified, that's about, I know the numbers are disgusting, but it still overwhelms the computer system, the HR folks, because there's still 5,000 people a day that they've got to at least send a reject email to. And they do that. They do that if you've approached the company properly. So, because a lot of people think that they don't get reject letters anymore. It's not true. It's just your resume obviously is not working. That's the indicator if you're not hearing from companies when you approach them.
So, this is always the question I like to ask, especially folks who have had experience in other industries. How is HR and hiring different in games than it is in other industries?
Well, it's not. I think all industries are just trying to automate the process, which makes no sense to me. We're hiring human beings. So to automate this whole process with databases and video interviewing and all this crazy, personality tests, whatever, come on. You know what I mean? It's just about rejecting someone without ever talking to them. It's a problem, so, it's not that different all over the place. Really what it is about how, just your skill in job hunting. And that's why I'm always approaching the hiring managers themselves. Because the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
And that's true on a whole lot.
You just got to squeak nicely.
We got another question here from Nightwolf. Nightwolf from Twitch says, to follow that comment, if you're lacking years of experience and are new, would that mean that you are underqualified for all jobs and must only find ones that you can match perfectly, unless you have a portfolio, even if it is small and solely on paper?
Well, if you're new to the industry, you've got to create experience for yourself so that when you sell yourself to a company, you've got some sort of experience. So get on the internet, go find a mod group that's modding, and join the mod group. Get on the internet, go find a group of indie developers who are trying to make the game, and go join the indie development group and actually make the game with them so that you continue to build a resume. You know what I mean? EA hires people who mod their games. So does every other game company. So mod, do things to create the experience so that you're no longer considered someone that just has no experience. You know what I'm saying? So you will get hired with doing that kind of stuff to build your resume.
So let's talk about once you're already at a company. We've seen there's exposés every year, and they've been popped up in the last year more than normal. And those of us who've been doing this for a long time look at it and roll our eyes, and we're like, yeah, we know people are forced to work 80 hours a week or 100 hours a week like Rockstar. Do we still have as big of a problem? Is it getting any better where we have people taking these roles that are so focused on getting into the industry that they will work under any sort of condition?
Since all those lawsuits happened a few years ago, I can't even remember which company it was at this point. It was one of the big ones, about excessive work hours. I really have not heard a lot of this in the industry over the past 5 years. Sure, there's going to be a small game company who's understaffed, or there's going to be a small period of crunch time. But we've grown up in the game industry. Most companies know how to have sprints. They run agile. They know how to schedule out their dev projects. We're not seeing this crazy, 60, 70, 80-hour work weeks like we used to see. And if you're still working at a company that's doing that, I say go find one that knows how to run itself correctly.
Yeah, it's the smaller ones that I see not having the problem. It's these bigger ones.
Sometimes you'd be surprised. Sometimes it's the small companies. Sometimes it's the big companies. You'd be surprised who's not organized or doesn't know how to level out their staff. But you'd think after with some years of experience, you'd know how to level out your workforce. But
All right, so we're close to running out of time here. If you've got any other questions on finding a job, sprucing up your resume, any of that stuff, pop it in chat now. All right, so let's talk about something real quick that is extremely important right now. You are at a company, you want to voice your thoughts on what's going on in the world around us. How do you handle that without losing your job?
Wow, that's a deep question.
That's what we're here for. We're all about the deep questions.
That is definitely a deep question. I don't know, dude. I don't mix personal and business. I try not to. I mean, political affiliates, affiliations, or my opinions about, the protesting going on, only because, I don't want to turn somebody off. I'm all about trying to help someone get a job and, placing people and helping my clients fill their open jobs. So what's going on in the world doesn't fit into that. So I try to avoid the conversation if possible, because it just doesn't belong in the job hunt world. So I don't know how to answer that question.
It's one of those things that we see people have like fake Twitter accounts so they can be themselves, and HR at the company they're working with isn't going to be, breathing down their neck. Then last night on Twitter, I saw Astrid, posted a comment about, if you're out there right now, and I'm going to see if I can find what it was real quick, but she was like, if you want to voice your opinion on something right now, please go down to your local community manager or, HR, PR person and ask them before they do, because, we see that, people's their social media is monitored heavily by the company, and they go and they express their opinion, whether or not it's rabid or extremist or whatever. They just feel like they can't anymore, and people are going to get fired over it. So yeah, I mean, and that was it. It's like there's a lot going on right now, and people want to say, this is how I feel, this is what I want to support, but they're scared to, because they don't want to get fired.
No, I understand. But, it's not relevant to your job or job hunting, or, you know what I mean, those opinions. Like you don't bring up your religion when you're job hunting or discuss religion. Why bring up what's going on in our crazy world right now? And if those are opinions you've got, that should be on your own Facebook and your own channels, not on a company, not using the company email, not using the company's platforms in any way. And if you're being edited by your company, well, I don't know, that's points at the bigger problem of wondering, are we in a fascist culture these days or what? I mean, America's turning into something, I don't know what it is anymore, but that's just a bigger issue. You know what I mean? You can't,
that's what I'm talking about. It's not them using the company platform, because I think anyone with 2/10 of a brain should know that unless your name is on the company and
you can't speak for the company, right?
The CEO and solely responsible for what you tweet, then yeah, don't do that shit. That's, but no, I'm talking about people posting on their own, on their own Facebook, on their own Twitter. I mean, we've got, my wife is in HR, and, I've seen companies that she worked for. That's like one of the first things that these companies do when you make it past that first wave of resume scanning, they go look up your social media to see, what's there. So, I mean, is that something that you just constantly have to be aware of as you're doing this? Because I'm not talking about doing the company platform, I'm talking about your own platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be aware. I don't think anyone ranting on any topic. Look, you've got to manage your profile, your personal brand, if you want to call it. You've got to manage it. You have a brand. Procter & Gamble, you're Tide soap. You're selling yourself to people. So if you want to sell yourself to someone and have all this bullshit on the internet about your opinions, then you got to be aware that some people are going to be prejudiced because you're a Jew or because your skin color or whatever. We live in this world, and they're not going to interview for the job, or you're going to lose the job because of these issues. It really, I say, control it. I have told all of my nephews and my nieces when my nephew got to college, I made him blow away his Facebook page. I made him blow away all of his media pages that he had from childhood. Do you think you want someone to see what you posted when you were 10 years old? No. I made him shut all those accounts down, and his first year of college, he opened up brand new Facebook, brand new everything, and he knows to watch what he posts, just like I watch what I post. So that I don't want to be controversial. Right. You don't want to be controversial. You want to get a job. You want to live in this world. I personally say keep your opinions to yourself, share them with your friends, go vote, go do that. But to be a lunatic on the internet where other people can see it and then judge you, come on. So I don't know about you, but I've been careful about Facebook since I registered for Facebook 20 years ago. I mean, it's public. Everyone sees it.
I go through phases. I go through the phase of I have to be nice, then I go through the phase of I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I do that too.
Page is just fluff, fluff, fluff. It's nothing real. It's nothing personal, really. You know what I mean? It's more other people posting to my page than I post. I mean, come on. It's a social media platform.
And you're not going to change anyone's opinion anyways. All you're doing
not.
is...
So if you want to be known as a radical, fine. You know what I mean? It's going to affect your job. It's going to affect your life some way. Sorry, we live in this crazy world. So manage your brand. Manage your personal brand. That's what I do. And, I don't know. Maybe that's not the right way to go. It's just the only solution I've been able to come up with so that I have the path of least resistance when I'm trying to find employment.
Because it's big picture. It's thinking about big picture instead of...
As you get older... Sorry, Andy, go ahead, dude.
No, I was just saying it's thinking about the big picture. It's... because I have a lot of opinions too, and I used to post a lot of stuff, and but then you see, like right now online, you see people like, if you say this thing, I'm unfollowing you. If you say this other exact opposite thing, I'm unfollowing you. If you don't post anything, then you're not my friend. And I'm like, no matter what you do or do not do, it's going to be wrong in somebody's eyes. You know what I mean?
Right. So guess what? I don't push the fact that I'm Jewish on my social media channels. I'm not embarrassed that I'm Jewish. I just don't push it because why should I turn someone off in business? I don't push the fact that I'm a gay man either, or gay issues, even though personally they're important to me. It doesn't belong on my website. It has nothing to do with my job, my career. So why give people a reason to reject you or accept you or whatever? It just doesn't have anything to do with it. So that's why I do my best to keep that stuff private. You know what I mean?
And it's so fucked up that this is the world that we live in.
It is fucked up.
You're right. It's like there's a portion of you where you're thinking, well, I need to stand up and tell people that, this is what I believe in, and this is who I am, and I'm proud of it. And that's, but then there's the other side of it where it's just like, am I giving someone a reason to reject me? And then to go to the next level, if you are, did you want a job there anyway?
True that. No question. You know what I mean? But, we all try to survive in the world we're living in. Yeah. And while I certainly hope things change, and I'm so encouraged in a way by the protesting, because I think people are just sick of being treated and judged and marginalized because they're not normal or they're not just like me. Unfortunately, this is the world we live in. So we want to mitigate this as best we can, even though I don't agree with it, even though I hope it changes. I want it to change. The truth is, why give anyone ammunition to do anything against you? When we're just talking about employment and keeping yourself alive and a functioning person, you know what I mean? You just got to do your best. So I know it's not the best answer, and it's not the answer for everyone.
It's the reality, and somebody has to just say this shit, because otherwise, that's one of the things that I can't stand. It's like, yeah, we are going to ask a hard question every now or a deep question or whatever, because otherwise nobody asks them, and we're all thinking it. It's like, but somebody needs to say, okay, look, this is normal. This is how you do things. This is how you don't do things. And a lot of times, we're in a fucked up world. That's just the bottom line. So, Mark, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And so we're going to put Mark's information on all the platforms. When we post this, go to gamerecruiter.com, reach out. He's awesome. He can absolutely help you. And I do want to end with a comment from Pepper Bandito, because, dude, I am with you. I agree. He says, myself, having struggled to get into the game industry in 2005, it took me a year of working on my portfolio and 50 plus rejections to break in. Now going on my 15th year, this job has its ups and downs. I've been laid off from studio closures and canceled games, but I love what I do. I encourage everyone to never give up. And that is the reality of this industry. Despite the fact that you can get $250,000 a year by being an Unreal Engine programmer, for years we haven't done this because we're going to get rich. We all knew, like Mark said.
I thought I was going to get rich.
Programmer, go do bank software. You're going to make a shitload more money. But we love this industry, and that's why we keep coming back to it. And if you don't love games, I'll be blunt. This is not your gig. This is
not for you.
It's absolutely not. You
got to be able to talk about games. You got to have an excitement about games. You just can't fake that. I like to liken job hunting to the video game Pac-Man. No. Yeah. You don't get the no, you're never going to get the yes. And that person you just said that it took a year and talking to 50-something people. Exactly. No, don't give up. It's not personal. It's just no for this moment. It's not no forever. The same person who said no to you today will say yes to you tomorrow. Seriously, it is a numbers game, and it's just like Pac-Man. So go for the no's, because unless you get no's, you're never going to get a yes.
The same way of finding a publisher, too.
Exactly, right? It's just kind of life when you think about it. Life is Pac-Man.
Awesome. All right. We'll let you go and to do what you do, Mark.
All right.
Greatly appreciate you hanging out with us for a little bit. You can find Mark on our Discord server from time to time. It's at discord.gg/indiegamebusiness. What else, Indy?
So for all the past podcasts, all of these that we've done over the past however long, anchor.fm/indiegamebusiness. This will be up there soon. So we hope you tune in to that, and if you're at work or whatever, you can listen to a bunch of different subjects. We talk about everything from getting a job to PR and marketing to programming to attorneys. I mean, there's so much information there. You can spend a week straight listening to it and then still want more.
We've had over 10,000 listens on that podcast.
Bam! That's pretty cool.
And that may not be a big number in podcasts, but it's a big number to us. So very proud of that.
Awesome.
All right, everybody.
All righty.
We will see you Friday with, bear with me. Who we got? What we got?
Dum, dum, dum.
Oh, Marco. Marco's going to be here, and he's going to be talking about how you do game development on a 55,000 person island during the pandemic. He's out, I think, he's the Azores, maybe? I don't know. I met him the other week, and it's just absolutely awesome and fantastic. So that's going to be interesting. Anyway, have a good week.
Yeah.
Be
Take
nice.
care, everybody.
Thanks so much, Mark.
Be well.